everybody kind of knows what's funny about their friend before they do. And like you watch your friend, you listen to your friend tell a story off stage or whatever, and you listen to them go on stage, and you just hear this you hear like you feel like a switch turn, and you're like, oh, that's not completely them. And I mean, I've heard things, I don't know which sources to cite, but
what page?
It said like 8 to 10 years is like where you find your voice. So it takes like a really long time to break out of that. Like, and I think you kind of experiment. How long have you been doing this for now?
Like 6 months.
6 months.
Tops,
yeah. So you're brand
with breaks
new
in between where I got really scared. Yeah, I'm brand new.
Yeah. So like, I mean, you're going to experiment with like a lot of different voices. I'm still and the thing that I've like learned about comedy so far is that it's literally like micro progress. Like you're like, oh, I'm doing the same thing, and then you listen back to a set you did a couple of months ago, and you're like, oh, I actually changed this like like it's so gradual, like how it takes a really long time to change, to get out of like habits or to get more comfortable. Like it's just happens so gradually, and you always want it to happen faster than it does.
Yep. But, I've noticed that I overcorrect too.
What do you mean?
Like I'll notice that I was too blank, and then the next set I'll be like, don't be blank. Like my very first set I ever did, or my very first open mic I ever did, I went so dirty.
Yeah.
I can't even watch it without wanting to throw up, because that's not me, but I thought that I had to be that,
you're
because
like,
normally I'm
comedy.
so sunshine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to talk about, sex and trauma, and like, no.
Yeah, the first, your first set is just like, you did it. You got up there, it's done, it's over. It takes just years and years, but
do you think there's any way to speed up that process? Like paying closer attention, or I've heard to like watch or listen to your set right after it every time. Like, what other hacks like that can speed up the process, even though it still stays pretty slow?
I don't know. I mean, I think I've made some progress. I think there's still like a long way to go in terms of like becoming comfortable on stage. I think just like repetition, I think just like what anybody will tell you is that the more often you get up, the easier it is, because you're more comfortable. Yeah, definitely listening to your set. The thing I don't do as often as I should is watch your set, but you turn the volume off.
Oh,
so you're only watching your body language, because your body language also has a lot. So you might be thinking like, oh, that joke is bad, like the audience didn't get it or whatever. But then you look at the tape and you're like looking down, or you're like backing up, or like, you're not confident in it. Body language is also like leaning in when you say a punchline, or making eye contact. Like there's so much of it that's body language, and obviously I struggle with the eye contact, but still working on that part. There's so many things you can do. I mean, just like listening to your set. I like to write out like, if you want to go absolutely insane with it, I like to write like what got a laugh, and I used to like rank the laughs. I don't really have that kind of time anymore.
God, I love you.
Yes.
Like 1 to 10?
Nutcase. No, I got it from the book, actually. I think I got it from the Comedy Bible book. But you can rank like, oh, that got a 2, that got a 3. I think I ranked them like 1 to 4 or something like that. And I'd be like, okay, this kind of got a laugh. Because then I could kind of recognize patterns of like, okay, this keeps getting a 4. So there's something about this line that keeps getting a 4 or keeps getting a 3. And then it just kind of like, okay, what is it about this line, and then just kind of. But again, this is not how everybody does it, or most people. This is how most people do it. I know other comics that are just as insane with this kind of stuff as I am.
It seems like everyone's kind of insane in their processes in their own way.
Like some people are academic, some people are more common sense, street smart. I'm definitely not that. I'm definitely academic. So for me that works, but for other people, like that's, so I feel like you can't really assume that the way that works for you is necessarily going to work for every person you like tell or whatever. Like
that's why I've loved just the Austin community and doing this podcast and just conversations on the patio at Creek, because everyone has great advice, and excuse me, I've been able to, not disregard advice that I think is bad, because all of it's good advice, but like your process is different than other people's.
Yeah.
And like, I am going to go home and watch it with it on mute, and I'm going to rank jokes and stuff. But like, there's other things that I'm going to try that won't work for me. But that diversity of it, I mean, it's just like, there's not a lot of comedy schools.
Yeah.
So like a breadth of it is helpful.